Okay, so I just finished recording the the stream for, that I'm calling Learning Faithfulness header file. And right now I'm recording the prequel to that stream. Because my wife, who's listening in the background, was like, Daniel, you kind of went into like the whole first principles of it, but your audience probably isn't interested in the first principles behind it. And also, I thought this wasn't going to be a show about first principles. She's right on all counts. Uh, But I felt like in this first show, I really wanted to explain the first principles behind why I'm doing my job, why I'm doing this stream, and what I'm trying to get out of it. So you, if you're interested in getting similar things, or if you think you can get something else out of it, can watch it. And if you're not, then not waste your time. So um, anyway, this stream is me talking about how my Christian faith um, motivates my work and this project. But most of the show is going to be extremely different than that. It's going to be us clicking around the Tezos code base, learning OCaml, um, that sort of thing. So without further ado, here's the rest of the first stream. Okay, hello everyone. This is what I'm calling the header file of the Learning Faithfulness stream project. So we're not going to be actually doing the thing, which is writing code and learning about Tezos, but instead we're going to be defining, the interface, things you need to know to interact with this project. So a little bit about me. Uh, I'm Daniel Hines. I live in Norfolk, Virginia, with my darling wife, Emily Hines. And the most important thing to know about me is that I'm a Christian, which means that I'm a sinner saved by God's grace. Um, this is the Learning Faithfulness stream project. So what I'm doing here is I'm experimenting with this idea of exhaust data. As programmers, we log everything, and then we can do analyses, um, to optimize all sorts of things. And like the better our logs, the better our metrics, the faster we can tune things. So this stream project is an experiment in like logging everything. We're gonna try, at least for some short time, we're gonna try doing lots of work on these streams. Um, so that way, I can get faster feedback from myself as I go over and analyze the streams, and from you, the audience, and from my peers and mentors. Um, so I'm excited about it. I've been reading and encouraged by other people learning in public. So we're gonna try it. Um, so the stream is gonna have a few themes. Um, Materially, what we're trying to do is primarily my job, which is to write code for Tezos. I'm an employee of Marigold, which is a consultancy based in France that is working on Tezos. Um, and I'm gonna try to be, you know, uh, making MRs and debugging things and writing tools and all of that stuff. And you guys are gonna help me get better. And uh, the other thing, the other part of this stream is getting better at programming itself, and getting better at like being a software engineer on a team. So that means we're going to spend a lot of time learning the OCaml programming language, which Tezos is implemented in, um, and learning the tools to write it. Dune and Merlin and Emacs and language servers and all of this stuff. I'm coming to the realization that like you can't be an effective programmer without a deep knowledge of these things. At least not in this project. So we're gonna get it. Um, the other thing I really want to grow in is debugging and software engineering generally. So we're going to spend a lot of time learning that. Um, and then, our domain is blockchains. So we're going to be learning a lot about blockchain theory and implementing new algorithms and features and how they all interact, etc. Um, and computer science generally, like as a subclass of computer science, as blockchain depends on it, so we really need to know the fundamentals. Um, so that's what we'll be doing, but there's a greater context, and I really want to learn more about the idea of like metacognition, um, the processes around our process, thinking about thinking, and generally refining our epistemology, which is the study of how we know truth. Um, because the better our epistemology, the better we'll be at life generally, and specifically, you know, finding out how to write good code. Um, and lastly, this is going to be a stream about learning discipline with cheerfulness, and embracing what I'm terming is the hard way. Um, there's an easy way that starts out easy, and in the end, it turns out to be immeasurably harder. And then there's a hard way that starts off a real slog, but in the end, it's the way of ease and of productivity and enjoyment actually. So this show is going to be learning to embrace the hard way. But we need to go over a few disclaimers. We should just read this. So let's see. Let's go to about. Uh, all the opinions on this stream are my own. I don't speak for my employers or my clients. I'm technically like an independent contractor here in the U.S. Um, I write open source software that's under permissive licenses, and so anyone can use any of the software that I write, and that doesn't mean that I speak or represent them. Um, this whole stream, as you've noticed, is going to be live and raw and uncut. I'm going to make lots of mistakes. I'm going to make lots of fumbles, and I'm not going to fix them. The entire point is for me to learn from them, and for us, like you, me, and the audience, um, to learn from them. So it would kind of defeat the point if this was like a super polished product. This stream officially adopts Saint Benedict's rules as our code of ethics. And just like in the SQLite community, I welcome and encourage everyone from any background to participate. And this is explicit in the code of ethics. No one is required to follow the code of ethics, or even to know it. And especially, you don't have to think that it's a good idea. But if you start spamming, or if you're just a scoffer, or if you're otherwise making it harder for people to in good faith try to live out the code of ethics, I'll boot you or censor you, because I want a free internet. I believe strongly in that, but that includes the ability to have my own walled garden. So let's go back to the show notes. Yeah, you'll notice there's stream notes here. This is not going to be typical. There's a pilot episode that I did yesterday, which is going to be far more typical, and it's me fumbling around the Tezos code base, learning about how RPC works and is implemented. And it's just me, stream of consciousness talking about code. That's what this whole show is going to be like. But for this first episode, I just wanted to kind of tell you guys a little bit more about me, about the stream, and that sort of thing. So that way you guys know what to expect, and you guys know who's behind this. 2021, people are bringing their whole selves to work. I don't know if it's a good idea, but we're going to do it anyway, and we're going to see how it goes. Um, so yeah, before I go into the next part, I just want to talk about like the technology we're using, the quote meta stack. We're going to be streaming things on Twitch in some schedule to be decided. We're going to be real time tracking like the goals and like the objective that we're working on in a software I'm really fond of called Complis. And like you'll be able to see exactly what I'm working on and exactly my progress to it. The objective is to give a lot of visibility to my superiors, so they can course correct, and then also to you, the audience, so you can see how it's going and learn and help me learn and all of that. But the notes are going to go here in Roam. So I do kind of assume general familiarity with Roam, but the basic idea is like, uh, everything is lots of terms are tagged they have their own page, and that allows you to like cross-reference things, and it's it's just look it up. But to navigate this page, all you need to know is that you can click on things, and like here, this underlined thing means that I'm actually referencing a block that I wrote somewhere else. Yeah, it's fairly simple. You'll get the idea. Um, so yeah, feel free to watch yesterday's stream for like a more typical episode. But yeah, the rest of this stream is going to be a little bit different. I want to tell you about the purpose of this project, uh, by telling you about the meaning behind the names involved. So there's obviously two names. There's my name, Daniel Hines, and there's the name of the show, which is Learning Faithfulness. By the way, I'm not going to call it a show because it's passive. I'm going to call it a stream or a project because I want your involvement. So about my name, uh, Daniel in Hebrew translates to God is my judge. Um, and what that means for me is that at the end of time, I'm going to have to give an account for every thought and word and deed that I've done in this life. And my greatest desire is, or at that moment, I want the Lord to say, "Well done, you good and faithful servant, enter into the joy of your master." So that's both my name and my mission in life. And my last name, Hines, it's translated. Oh no! There's another element that I forgot that I wanted to mention about my name. So Westerners, when you hear the word judge, you think a legal judge sitting in black robes pronouncing judgment or vindication for the prosecuted, and that is certainly implied in the Hebrew meaning, but it's not the only thing implied. There's a much full, like it's much more full and rich than that. So the other meaning of the word judge is like deliverer or advocate, and that's increasingly important in my life, as I realize like this world is really really hard and really messed up in so many ways, and it often sucks living in it. Um, and the worst part about that is like when I observe my own heart honestly, I realize I'm part of that problem. There's this quote I love from G.K. Chesterton. He wrote a letter to a publisher. He said, "Dear sir, regarding your article, What's Wrong with the World? I am yours truly, G.K. Chesterton." Um, and that hits on a deep truth. I'm part of the problem. We're actually all part of the problem. Um, but God in His compassion has made a way for us to be forgiven and changed. Um, and that's part of His function as my judge, as my deliverer and advocate. He's the one that rescues me when I'm overwhelmed. Um, he forgives my sins and shortcomings. Um, and He gives me the power and the strength and the hope that I need to improve and to live a new life. So that's behind my name. And there's also some meaning behind the name of the stream, which is learning faithfulness. Um, and we're going to go to daily notes. Oh, my wife just mentioned that I forgot to talk about my last name. See, this is raw, uncut. We're doing this. Yeah, so let's just click on name. My last name is Heinz. It's the German diminutive of Heinrich, translating ruler of the home. And it's kind of an interesting story how I got this last name. My grandfather, Heinz Munsterberger, was a German Jew who fled the Holocaust, and he changed his name when he got here, or rather, it was kind of changed for him to Robert Heinz. And the hope was that he would better fit in the midst of really hot anti-German sentiment and frankly anti-Jewish sentiment as well. But through this accident, the name has taken on a whole new meaning, especially for me since marrying my wife Emily. Um, I've learned that my vocation as a husband is truly my highest earthly calling. And I want to do this to the very best of my ability. I want to do this, with all the strength that God gives me. God help me. So, while our day-to-day discussion is going to be super mundane, technical, how to build a blockchain, the background of this whole project is that we're also building a home. And that is of far more lasting um, uh, value. I'm a firm believer in the Tezos project. I will refer to it as the immortal blockchain. Um, but you know you need to know that like every human soul is going to go on to eternity, and so your family is far more immortal for good or ill than this immortal blockchain that we're working on. So anyway, that's the background of this project, and yeah, let's dive into um, this title of learning faithfulness. I actually put like more abbreviated notes in here. So if you look up the word faithfulness on Google, there's two definitions. The first is remaining loyal and steadfast. And then there's this other sense of, true to the facts or the original. Like one is like he was a faithful servant, and then the other is, this is a faithful copy of the original. But in both senses, notice that faithfulness is relational. You're always faithful to someone, or faithful with respect to something else. Um, and we're trying on this project. We're trying to grow in both kinds of faithfulness, but in a particular way. So kind of interpersonally, I'm trying to grow as a programmer and as an employee, which means growing in my skill and my competence as a computer scientist and software engineer, and in my discipline, because you know uh, uh, being confident as a professional of any kind means like resisting a lot of your first instincts and urges. Um, so yeah, I'm also trying to grow in reliability. Meeting deadlines, doing what I say I'm going to do, and in honesty. Making sure everyone is on the same page. Lastly, this is becoming increasingly important to me. I want to grow in cheerfulness, because you know an employee who does everything that you ask him but with a sucky attitude is still a bad employee. Um, so we're trying to grow in that area as well. Um, and lastly, like faithfulness in the context of programming takes on this like really meta dual uh, meaning, because like the whole point of a blockchain is to give a faithful account of some transactional history. Um, and so we're trying to cultivate a faithful program. And to do this, we're going to impose discipline on the code itself, through things like static types and different programming disciplines like functional programming, through testing and anything else we can think of to make our code um, better able to communicate truth to us and others. Like that's what we're going to do. And to build this faithful program, we're going to need faithful tools to do it. Um, the tools we use are OCaml. OCaml has been around for literally decades, which is ancient in programming years. And it's remained faithful to its promises over those decades, because it has incredible backwards compatibility. Um, that's a faithful tool. We're going to be learning, how to get a reliable IDE and development setup. Something where we turn it on and it works every time, and it's hard to kill, and it's robust, and all of these things. Um, and we're going to make Tezos more faithful by having continuous integration, so it's always being tested. It's always, asserting that it meets its contract, and uh, we're going to write benchmarks, so we are meeting, the implicit and explicit expectations of our users, and all of these things. And so, faithfulness is like the most important thing when in this whole building a blockchain exercise. Um, but that is simply a reflection of the fact that this is God's nature. God is ultimately loyal and steadfast in His love for us, and this is like one of the major themes of the Bible itself. So there's a few passages that really highlight this, and this isn't one of them, so delete it. Yeah, you guys can read these on your own. But anyway, yeah, let's see. Let's go back to the About page. Covered stack that we're using. We've covered the disclaimers. Yeah, I think this is it. I think this is a pretty good overview. I'm really excited about this project. I'm excited about getting more information about how I'm doing my job, and how to better do my job, and sharing that with you guys. So thanks for watching. Take care.